I'm going to introduce Joe Lynch, who's going to give us a presentation on valve Trak. This is Utility Innovation Services, and this is something that the judges liked and felt ought to be everywhere, really. It's been developed with the gas industry in mind, but this would apply to all utilities. I know myself from mainly in the water sector, finding valves and knowing which valve you're on in emergency situations in particular is very stressful and can be really quite difficult at times. And this sort of technology, it would be wonderful if it was everywhere. So I'll hand over to Joe, who'll talk us through it. And so yeah, all yours, Joe. And we'll gather questions in the chat and we'll run through those at the end.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for that. Okay, good morning, good afternoon even, everyone. Nearly there. First of all, I'd like to thank the Pipelines Industry Guild for inviting me to speak to you guys today. And of course, thank you to all of you for attending. I'm Joe Lynch, Director of New Technologies at Utility Innovation Services, more commonly known as UIS. On the call today to support us with any tricky questions that you guys might have is Joe Ardale, the founder of UIS. Okay, so we're based in Style, Manchester, and as our company name suggests, our purpose is to innovate for the utility sector. What that means is that when your engineers are out in the field cursing and asking why things can't be quicker, easier or more efficient, and having worked in the operational environment for some time now, I know that a few of you have been on the receiving end of some pretty irate phone calls. Well, we're looking for the solutions to those problems. And what I want to speak to you guys about today is one of our latest products called valve Trak. So now valve Trak is a product that you may very well look at and think this is so simple and so necessary that I can't believe it hasn't been done before. Because in a nutshell, all it does is allow you and your engineers to precisely locate and manage any underground or overground asset using just a smartphone. Pretty simple, right? But it's something that has only been made possible by modern technology. Most importantly, the Internet of Things. Without that, the level of accuracy and precision we're able to deliver in locating assets simply wouldn't be possible. And I'll talk to you a bit later about the mechanics of how it operates. But first of all, I want you to just think about how much of a difference that could make to your business. How much time do your engineers spend trying to locate an underground valve or other asset, let alone access it and operate it? Over time, it's so easy for these assets to become inaccessible, get covered over by general debris, or otherwise obscured by being buried or landscaped over. And this can waste vast amounts of time for engineers who have to search for it before they can actually get on with doing their job. How often do miscommunications occur between those on the ground and those in the office or working remotely? And this can lead to even more wasted time. In the last 6 months alone, we've been contacted by organisations representing thousands of properties all over the UK that have lost supply as a result of operating the wrong valve whilst undertaking planned maintenance work. Every single one of those outages could have been prevented using valve Trak. But apart from the disruption these losses cause, the cost of recovery plan for them is huge. Not to mention the reputational damage that is the inevitable result of a less than perfect customer experience. Those operators are now choosing to install valve Trak and will experience significant reductions in this type of human error and will benefit from saved time, reduced costs and positive feedback from customers and regulators alike. Time is one thing we don't have, particularly in an emergency when engineers need to quickly locate and operate an asset. After all, in many cases, the engineer arriving on site has no prior knowledge of the asset's whereabouts, and it's not uncommon for places to have changed significantly since the valve was installed anyway, all of which only exacerbates the risks when emergency strikes. Because let's face it, while time is important to people across all industries, when it comes to utilities, the ability to act fast can literally save lives and help prevent serious and costly damage to buildings and infrastructure. And by providing the same accurate data to those on the ground and any supervisors making decisions remotely, valve Trak allows for emergency situations to be swiftly and safely brought under control. But valve Trak is not just about safety. Although this was the primary reason that we began developing it, It's also about efficiency in those day-to-day tasks that make up the bulk of your engineer's workload. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to show you a short video of valve track in action. It's just over a minute long, and it should help you visualize the product and demonstrate a real use case. So I'm just going to play the video now. Okay. So clearly the situation in the video was in near perfect condition. This won't, of course, always be the case. As you saw in the video, oops, sorry guys, let me just turn that off. The faux pas on my point. There you go. Got rid of that. Right. Here we go. As you saw in the video, we've been working closely with Cadent to roll out valve track. So far, this has been part of a trial in the Northwest, but we're now ready to offer valve track to clients all over the world and the UK. Cadent are investing in valve track across their entire footprint, and we're about to enter the mass implementation stage, having successfully trialled valve track in a number of live environments. These are indeed exciting times for us as a business. We are currently working with asset owners in the USA, Australia, the UAE and Brazil as we look to introduce our innovative solutions to clients all around the globe. Valve track is spreading far and wide. We chose to partner with Cadent because we see safety as the primary function of this innovation. In conjunction with Cadent, we've been working on installing valve track in high-rise residential blocks, multi-occupancy buildings and other similar buildings where we think it will have the maximum impact. These include public spaces and on complex distribution systems. Whenever you have an underground asset that you don't want to lose sight of, whether it's a valve or anything else, valve track comes into its own. But as I said, it's not just about safety, and it's not just about the gas industry. We see valve track as a product that can improve and enhance all areas of the utility sector. For example, it could be hugely beneficial for water companies who often face similar problems when trying to locate valves. And it's not even limited to just valves. Valve track is the asset management tool of the future and can be used across many different assets, making them both manageable and accessible in an instant. So, how does valve track work? Essentially, it's a piece of hardware that is retrofitted into a valve chamber and stores specific detailed information about the asset to which it is attached. Any detailed document or information that is useful for that asset can be digitally stored within the app and desktop portal, placing critical safety and operational information at your engineer's fingertips. As you saw in the video, location is one of the most important pieces of information. The engineer was guided in via the app, and when he got close to the asset, he was able to use it to pinpoint the exact location of the valve in no time at all. At the last moment, he was able to send a high-pitched audible tone out from the asset, instructing this action via the app. This enabled him to make sure he was directly above the asset before making a decision about how to proceed with his operation. And there is almost no limit to what data you can hold on any specific asset. The whole point of valve track is that it improves speed and efficiency. So whatever information is important to you can be added to the hardware and made easily available when you need it, which I'm sure you'll agree is preferable to desperately rifling through a filing cabinet or scanning a million folders on your PC that all look exactly the same, especially in an emergency situation. It's worth mentioning here that Trak is ATEX approved, meaning it can safely operate within gaseous or potentially gaseous atmospheres. It's rated to IP68 waterproof and is securely connected to the cloud. It also uses Bluetooth low energy technology, and the great news is that it comes with a 10-year battery life, so maintenance of the valve is minimal. Sorry, the Trak is minimal. This was an important output during the scoping sessions we held. And while it's an innovative product, you're most likely familiar with each of its constituent parts. It uses the Internet of Things to ensure all the data held on your asset is instantly retrievable, GPS to navigate engineers to the asset, photographs of the area to help on-site engineers get their bearings, and a high-pitched alarm that confirms the exact location. So there is no requirement to learn or understand complex new technologies. It's all there in a simple to use app. And for any office-based staff that need access to the information stored against that asset, there is also an online portal that can be accessed from the desktop. So that's what it is. Now let's look a bit more detail about what the benefits of Trak are. As you can see from the slide, we've identified 4 key benefits. Continuous visibility. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can log into the portal at any time. It doesn't matter if our offices are shut, the portal is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This significantly improves network safety, providing asset owners with instant visibility at any time. It's cost effective. The cost of covering 1,500 assets equates to just 2 FTEs equivalent per year. And that's just the figure we can put a price on. When you factor in the amount of man hours lost per year trying to locate valves, the additional fuel costs when you need to send the second vehicle, and the cost of storing paper copies of all the data needed to manage each asset, it becomes very clear very quickly that ROI, return on investment, on this bit of kit is pretty appealing. It's easily locatable. We've already touched on this. If you can use a smartphone, you can use Trak. This results in the elimination of wasted excavations and wasted time. So you get it right first time, in good time, every time. And fewer excavations mean you get the job done with minimal environmental and customer impact. And last but not least, it's easy to install. You can use a magnet to attach it to a metal asset, or for others, a simple drill connection. And as an added benefit, the valve chamber can be cleaned out at the same time. And this is still a male-orientated industry. I should probably point out that this is a phenomenon known as multitasking. Now, as I said, these are just 4 of the benefits that we have identified in terms of its practical use. But as you well know, there are other factors against which we're all judged. These days, corporate social responsibility is something that businesses, consumers and commentators take seriously, and Trak can have a massive impact on the social return on investment too. I mentioned earlier that we have already partnered with Cadent, and we're proud to have contributed significantly to their £84 million social return on investment in the trading year ending April 2022. Indeed, our project delivered £21.4 million of that, a little over 25%. The next news project was 15 million, and this is just in the Northwest. So just think how much more value we could add to society if we work together to extend that reach to other parts of the country. We're about to go live in London, where the social return on investment is huge. In fact, based on data generated as part of our trial in the Northwest, we estimate that rolling out across North London alone could provide added safety to at least 43,000 residents. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll be sitting there right now thinking to yourself, this is all well and good, but how much does it cost? And the good news is that all it requires is a minimal upfront payment and small recurring subscription. But as we all know, nothing is measured simply in pounds spent. It's all about the return on investment. And of course, you know your business much better than I do. So I'm not going to pretend that I've crunched the numbers and can give you a ballpark figure on average savings. But I would urge you to perhaps look at any ways in which Trak could iron out any existing inefficiencies within your business, and then calculate how much you could save each year if they could be eliminated. And I'm pretty sure the maths will speak for themselves. But it gets better, because gas distribution companies may not have to pay any upfront cost at all. That's because the benefits offered by Trak fall under the remit of the Vulnerability and Carbon Monoxide Allowance, or VCMA for short. This means that for any kind of community safety project that involves adding Trak to pipeline isolation valves for multi-occupancy buildings, medium or high rise, or many other building types, you may be able to get the cost of installation covered by the VCMA. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, Trak in many ways is a simple product. And you may wonder why it has never been done before. And the answer to the question is very simple. The capability wasn't there prior to the emergence of the Internet of Things. As we move towards 2023, interconnectivity is something we encounter every day in all walks of life. And often the key benefit of that is convenience. We can record TV shows or turn on our heating from anywhere these days, just using the app on our phones. Trak takes the same technology and puts it to use in a commercial capacity. Sure, it's convenient for field engineers to be able to locate an underground asset quickly and easily using their phone. But if it were just convenience it offered, I wouldn't be here today addressing you. Trak is the future of asset management. It enhances public and personal safety. It reduces the amount of time, resources and money necessary to carry out routine maintenance work or emergency repairs, and the net result of these benefits is it increases your return on investment. And for some of you sitting here today, that investment is covered by the VCMA, so you can have all of the benefits of Trak with no upfront cost. The Internet of Things has provided us all with possibilities that a few short years ago would have been dismissed as pipe dreams. Those of you who have been in the industry for a long time will no doubt think back to the times when you and your colleagues said, wouldn't our job be so much easier or so much more productive or so much more profitable if? Trak is the solution to one of those what ifs. So now it's time to ask yourself a different question. What if I don't take this opportunity? Where will that leave my organisation? Will we fall behind the competition, and will we be able to work faster and more efficiently? And will we be able to guarantee that same level of safety for our staff and the wider public? Because while it's not all about safety, safety is the most fundamental factor in the industry we all work in the UK. We are extremely proud of how safe our utility networks are, but we should always drive for those incremental improvements. Trak makes safety simple and affordable while also delivering on other KPIs that drive business success. I hope that explains the crux of what Trak is, what it does, and why it's going to be a key player in the gas, water and utilities industry across the world as we move forward. If you have any further questions, please feel free to talk to us after this call or contact myself or Joe Iredale at any time. Alternatively, you can contact us by phone or email or go online to read more about the product and what we do at UIS. I'd like to say thanks to the Pipeline Industry Guild for giving myself and UIS the opportunity to talk about Trak today. They are certainly a pivotal player in the future of our industry, and the UIS will continue to support where we can. For now, I'd like to thank you for your time and hope to speak to some of you over the coming days. And on that, I'll hand back to Phil.
Thanks very much, Joel. That was excellent, spot on, and perfectly timed as well. So, any questions for anybody? If you could pop them in the chat, that would be brilliant. We have a couple to start off with. Now, you said I'm from the water sector, I should say. So that's the angle my questions will come from. You say cadence for installing these on all valves. Is it all valves, or is it selected valves in the network? Is it just certain ones? How have they chosen? If it is?
Yeah, thanks for that, Phil. So based on a risk scenario, so what they're doing initially is picking off all of the high-rise buildings. So certainly in the northwest, in London and East Midlands, we're starting to roll out the process on high-rise buildings and some complex distribution systems. So maybe not a high-rise building, but a complex in its own nature. And then there's conversations ongoing and talking to NGN and Cadent around the use on M1 and M2 valves. So those sort of strategic, valves that are in the network. So yeah, those are the starts. And then of course we will go on to talk about medium rise. Slightly different conversation with medium rise because it's a much larger population of assets. So you know, the costs really need to be scrutinised there. But yeah, certainly a good start on starting on high-rise buildings as the first.
Okay. Now, from a water perspective, quite often these chambers are submerged when you get them to them. Is that something that Valve-Trak would continue to function if it was submerged in water, or does it need to be, you know, reasonably dry, or what conditions can it tolerate?
Yeah, so I've got Joe Iredale on as well, who's put his camera on. So Joe's obviously, as I said at the start of this recording, he's founder of UIS. So I'll hand over to Joe, let him sort of answer that question, and then I'll cover anything off that he doesn't. So Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, to thingy on the question, Phil, it's obviously got a high rating on water resistance. You know, we can stand the harsh environments we expect it to be put in. Obviously, in an ideal world, it'd be a nice sealed up unit in a new stock chambers, but that's not the case. These are going to be retrofitted into existing chambers, so we've made it robust and to withstand all the elements which we have to put with on a daily basis, unfortunately. So yeah, the answer is yes, we can withstand water and anything else which chucked at it, really. The interesting thing for us, the big challenge was when we started this journey was, what else can we make it do to take it on its next journey? And obviously Joe's just touched on there the M1s and the M2s and our high risk categories from, you know, the explosive side from the gas industry, and we've actually got it to 0 rating now on ATEX approval, which is absolutely incredible. There's nothing else out there in the market at the moment which has achieved that. So basically we can go in a confined space with this product now, and, you know, reassured that it's there and it can monitor and do what it needs to do without the risk of any explosive elements as well. So yeah, it's quite unique in that respect.
And how are they normally fixed within the chamber? Because obviously chambers come in different sizes and shapes. And
yeah, it's basically we've come up with a magnet solution on certain examples, and also with what we've done with the Cadent, we've sort of inherited a swabbing system which we put in and attach it to the top of that, you know, just like the foam pigs we use to blow through the water and gas mains. So there's that process. Well, I mean, pretty much the unit itself is quite small and compact. So, you know, there's plenty of places it can sit in any sort of valve chamber environment. So not a problem. You mean there's going to be there's some of the old concrete chambers on the gas. Certainly what we did with them, we sort of drilled the little holes at the top and fixed it, magnetized it to the top of there. So there's retro options for fitting in all environments, pretty much.
Excellent. Any other questions from anybody in out there? Go on.
Hello, this is Walid Jamus. I'm working with Jacobs. So the question I've got for this piece of kit, so power-wise, what kind of power it does need? So do I need to supply for it a cable to get powered, or is it battery powered?
No, it's battery powered for 10 years. We're giving it a battery life for 10 years, so it doesn't need recharging. So it's sat there with the reassurance that you've got 10 years of life expectancy on it.
And just to touch on that, if I may, Joe, so again, you know, when we went through the scoping sessions, it was really important to get as much battery life out of the product as we could. And actually, initially, when we started the journey, 5 years was really the period in which we could extend it to. And you know, we could have stopped there and we could have offered it out at 5 years, but you know, we wanted to push the boundaries, so we did, and we kept pushing, and it researched various different supply partners, etc. And you know, only relatively recently, in the last sort of 6 months, we've got it to a point where actually we can extend that to 10 years, which is a massive advantage for any asset owner out there. You know, because the maintenance is just, you know, it's just so much easier to maintain something over 10 years than it is 5. So yeah, it's a 10-year battery life, and you plug it in, it sort of wakes up and lets us know it's alive. and then when it needs to come into operation, it does. And then for the rest of the period, the rest of the 10 years, it just goes to sleep and sits there. So yeah, that's why we've managed to get 10 years out of it.
Any other questions? Well, if that's it, I think that's been fantastic, Joe. Obviously, this video is going to be uploaded to the Guild's YouTube channel and will be accessible from there if anyone wants to watch it, or if you've got anyone who is interested or know of anyone that's interested would like to watch it. Just a
quick one from me, Phil. Sorry, well, it's just from you from a water background. We've sort of engaged early stages with some of the water companies, and we're quite keen, obviously, to move this forward into that sector. One of the things we're touching on valves, but Joe mentioned in his great presentation, was there's other assets which will potentially have a need or potentially could be used. And with fire hydrants is another one. Where you look at the problems the fire brigade certainly have trying to locate some certainly with a change in geography and how landscape changes quite considerably now. So there's another option there where these can be retrofitted in a fire hydrant washout facilities, air valves. There's all sorts of and they are possible. So just something there for the people who are listening in, and yourself if you've got any opportunities there you think we might be good for us to promote. We're gladly here.
You reminded me of some of my nightmares and on site trying to find valves and work out whether I'm on the right one, and knowing the consequences of getting things wrong and what on earth do I do now. And yes, it would have been nice to have confidence that you're on the right valve and you know which way it turns. And
things like the DMA. I used my day with Severn Trent, and that we did the DMA valves, they used to call them, where your boundary valves and stuff like that. Just having them, having a valve track in there and storing that amount of data. They used to lock them down with the red caps and that. So anyone lifted it, they couldn't turn them by accident. But just having that on there now, the art of possible with this product is really exciting for us as a business. So we just wanted to share that point as well.
I think the industry's got to go more this way. It really has, and we've got to know what's going on in the network. So it's in the direction of things. I think that will be certainly my view. So excellent. Any more questions from anybody? Well, if not, I'll just say, well, a big thank you very much to Joe Lynch and Joe Ardale, and certainly very worthy winners of the Technology Award. So well done in getting that. And just for those who join later, a quick word. There's another one of these seminars on the 27th of October. You might be interested, which is a die drawing job right in the central London of a 36-inch main, which is a very interesting, tricky project. On the 3rd of November, we've got a face-to-face event in Manchester, which is all about hydrogen and leading the way to net zero. And there's several speakers there from client, contractor and government and industry bodies. So that should be a really good debate and discussion for anyone who's interested in the hydrogen side of things. We've then got an event on the 17th of November, which is joint with British Water on network resilience. And that certainly promises to be a very good and very interesting event that I'll certainly be joining. Then we've got several dinners, Wales and West Branch dinner, the Northern Branch dinner, 3rd of November, 1st of December. And then we've got a webinar on the National Underground Register, which again is linked to this. We've got to get better at working out where our existing assets are and registering them and being able to locate them. We've simply got to get better. We've got a whole conference on carbon accounting in the UK water industry in January, and then we're into February and Lions Lair. So lots and lots of events coming up over the next few weeks in the Pipeline Industries Guild. So yeah, please do join us. So thanks very much again to Joe's, and I'll close the event there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Phil.
Take care. Bye-bye.